text us on 81333 and start your message with 3CR. Residents in Chesham and Beaconsfield are campaigning against plans to build houses on greenbelt land in the towns. The Brown Not Green campaign feels that Chiltern and South Bucks councils should develop brownfield sites first. South Bucks District Council approved the local plan last night, whilst Chiltern District Council meet this evening. If approved tonight, it will then go forward for public consultation before finally going before the Secretary of State. Our reporter, Justin Dealey, is on the scene in Chesham for us this morning. Good morning to you, my friend.
Yes, good morning, Andy. Thank you. I'm with Philip J. Plato, local resident, not happy about these plans. So you're going to find out tonight whether you're going to get 900 homes here in this part of Chesham. What's your gut feeling on that decision?
Well, sadly, I suspect that the local plan will be voted through. We're not quite sure, actually, whether it's going to be 900 homes or 500 homes or how many gypsy sites will be incorporated in it. We wait to hear that decision. But certainly the local community is very, very upset by this. We feel these are the wrong homes in the wrong place and that it's just been lazy planning. And it's appalling that after nearly 5 years of work, this is the best the council can come up with.
So do you think tonight then it will be approved? But by the sounds of it, yes.
Yes, we're hearing that councillors are being whipped to follow the party line. Certainly at the South Bucks council meeting that I attended last night, several courageous councillors did speak against the plan, but sadly not enough to have it voted down.
So if that's voted for this evening, how quickly could you see hundreds of new homes here in Chesham?
That's very hard to say, but certainly I would anticipate something starting in the next few years. We've been told by some of the evidence in the council's evidence base that it may be a 13-year or longer build out. So that'll be 13 years of construction and disruption and will adversely affect the community, particularly those who are trying to move and sell their house in the meantime.
You say this is the wrong place. Why? Because looking around here, it seems the perfect place.
Well, no, I would disagree with that completely. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's greenbelt, which is the first thing that should be mentioned, but this is not just ordinary greenbelt. Most greenbelt does not have public access. It's private land. This land is used by hundreds of people for decades for all sorts of informal recreation.
So you use that field behind your home?
Yes. Yes.
It looks overgrown to me.
Well, no, it's not. It is been laid aside by the farmer this year, but there's all numbers of informal footpaths that can be seen from Google Earth. And there's also a network of public footpaths that are used. And we're hoping to have this land listed as an asset of community value. The methodology that's been used by the council over the last 3 or 4 years to select greenbelt sites has really been very, very odd and flawed. And we question why this site has been selected when there are much worse sites that may be technically greenbelt or undeveloped, but are maybe degraded or contaminated, that we think should be looked at first. And certainly the brownfield land should be looked at as well.
Look, we need more new homes. What would you say to anybody who is screaming at the radio right now saying, come on, Philip, you're just a NIMBY. You're saying, yes, we need new homes, but not in my backyard.
Well, I would dispute the not in my backyard label.
Exactly what you're saying,
though. No, it's not. I would actually challenge you and say that we think that Chesham is probably one of the most positive communities that is trying to get more homes. There is an organisation which I'm also involved with called Chesham Master Plan. The Chesham infrastructure needs to be improved, and they are promoting a master plan that would deliver affordable homes that will be more centrally located, built on brownfield land, often land that is already in public ownership, and that we would not therefore need to roll back the greenbelt to provide the houses that are needed in Chesham. Much more importantly, they would be homes that would be affordable, genuinely affordable, and in a more sustainable location. We're nearly 2.5 kilometres from the train station and town centre here. How can that be a sustainable location?
What's the support like locally to these plans?
We have over 1,800 people who are registered supporters of Brown Not Green. And yes, the feeling is very passionate about protecting this area of the land. Over 200 people have already donated money towards the professional fees that we've had to incur to point out to the councillors the errors of their ways. The trouble
much
is
is that?
they're not listening.
How much has been donated so far?
Nearly £30,000.
So nearly £30,000. Is that what this ultimately comes down to? The fact that you and other residents here, if new homes come in, disruption, and long term you could actually lose money on your property. Is that why you're investing? Is that why you're making such a big deal about this?
No, that's certainly not personally the reason I'm doing this. I'm a chartered planning surveyor. I didn't spend 4 years studying at college to see the planning system disrupted and abused, frankly, in the way it has been. I think it's shameful that the council have spent so long and so much public money producing a plan that is so flawed.
On these plans for gypsy and traveller pitches, how many?
Again, we're not entirely sure. I think it's 15 pitches. I don't know how many gypsies that would relate to, but look, gypsies have needs too. I don't think anyone in the community disputes that. I've done some work with the gypsy community in the past, and I know that they need these pitches. But I also know that the last thing they want to do is to be shoehorned onto a housing estate with the settled community.
But would you be happy to have those gypsy and traveller pitches where you live?
I can't say that I would, but who would?
Where can people find out more about your plans and your opposition to the meeting tonight?
Thank you. People need to get involved. If they want to get more information, they should go to www.brownnotgreen.com, and I urge everybody to take part in the public consultation once this plan is approved after the 7th of June and make their comments known, and also hold your councillors to account. Many of these are hoping to stand in the new unitary authority that will be formed in just over 10 months' time, and if they're asking for your vote for this, I think you should tell your councillors that their vote will be dependent on how they vote on this local plan tonight.
Philip, just lastly, I and all of our listeners can certainly feel your passion. This meeting tonight, that's going to be feisty, isn't it?
Yes, I think it will be. There were over 100 people at South Bucks last night, yes, there was a lot of tutting and guffawing to, frankly, some of the cognitive dissonance that we heard from councillors and cabinet members trying to justify the unjustifiable.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, Andy. That's Philip J. Plato here in Cheshire. More to come on this story after 8 o'clock, but it's the same old story that we keep reporting on. We do need new homes, but whatever the plans are to build these new homes, the locals are not happy.
Campaigning against potential plans to build houses on Greenbelt land in the towns. The Brown Not Green campaign feel that Chiltern and South Bucks councils should develop brownfield sites first. South Bucks District Council approved the local plan last night, whilst Chiltern District Council meet this evening. If approved tonight, it will then go forward for public consultation before finally going before the Secretary of State. Our reporter Justin Dealey is on the scene in Jordan's Beaconsfield. Good morning to you, my friend.
Yeah, good morning, Andy. Beautiful part of the world, this. The sun is shining this morning. I'm with Jeff Gudgeon, who's a local. So these plans were approved last night for your part of the world, Beaconsfield. How many homes are we talking about here?
1,600.
And what's your thoughts on that?
Appalled. The whole of the Beaconsfield is appalled. I'm only just learning about it.
Why are you so appalled?
They're putting too many homes in the wrong place. So the right across Buckinghamshire, they're building about 54% more houses than are needed by the population, and they won't be the right sort of houses. Not enough of them will be the low-cost houses that we need for a balanced community.
And obviously, we're talking about a lot of homes here. This meeting last night, do you feel that you've been included, you and locals, in this process whatsoever?
Not nearly enough. I don't think the council's listening. I don't think they like it when the local population gets vocal. You and I are talking in the middle of Jordan's, a lovely village. Yep. Is being taken out of the Greenbelt. They didn't know about it. It's been a huge shock to them this week.
So what's the feeling of anger like locally?
People are incredibly frustrated. There was a public meeting last week, and the passion in the room and the anger that it takes a local residents association to defend the community against its own elected councillors is appalling.
Look, in a second we are going to hear from John Reid, who is the Cabinet Member for Planning on South Bucks District Council. This is what local radio is all about, because you can have your say with him right now. You feel like you haven't been listened to. What would you like to say to him?
I would say John Reid is very good at using very soothing words that mean totally the opposite. For example, he talks about a sustainable plan. He released the sustainability report this week, and it includes phrases such as, this plan will have a positive impact on biodiversity. Hang on, you're going to put housing equivalent to 3.5 Beaconsfields into this area, and it has a positive effect on biodiversity? What planet is he on?
Stay there, because you might be in a position where you can have your say again. I'm now going to pass back to Andy, because I know that he's got John on the line. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Justin. Like Justin said there, we can now speak to Conservative Councillor John Reid, Cabinet Member for Planning on South Bucks District Council. Good morning to you, John. Why are you rushing through these plans then? Why aren't you listening to the residents?
Good morning, Andy. We're far from rushing through these plans, and we've been listening to the residents and all of our community from the very beginning. This process started over 5 years ago, and in that period we've held multiple consultations on a range of issues. There's been multiple public meetings across South Bucks and Chiltern districts. And where we are in the process at the moment is that we have a draft plan, and the next step is to, again, take that out to public consultation to give the opportunity for our whole community to comment on the plan and continue to be part of that process of developing the plan for our area.
But John, the last public consultation you had on the Greenbelt was in 2017. There were a lot of objections to the sites you identified, including Chesham and Beaconsfield. Did that not prompt a change in your plans?
Absolutely, and the plan has evolved on that basis. Over the course of this period,
How, John?
Over 500 sites were looked at as part of this process, and this has come down to the most sustainable 13 identified, so that we can meet our local housing need in a balanced way, both through better use of available brownfield sites, working in partnership with our neighbours in Aylesbury, and also...
But you put those forward in 2017. People objected. What changed?
As in a number of sites, the scale of the sites has changed. Some of the sites have actually been removed from it because the sustainability of them was identified as not being the most sustainable of all of them. I mean, we've got to remember this is about providing the homes for our communities into the next 20 years.
Yeah, we all accept we need more houses, John, but it feels to those residents here that we're speaking to that you're sneaking away the Greenbelt that they thought was assured. It's why it's called Greenbelt.
Well, what we've done as part of this process, which we've been obliged to do, is to review the Greenbelt, and that Greenbelt review has been undertaken on a county-wide basis. And at the end of this process, we will have, in South Bucks, 85% of our district protected by renewed Greenbelt boundaries that have been reviewed and reinforced, not just to the end of this plan period, but beyond, and will endure.
Some people suspect that this is an attempt to get something approved before Buckinghamshire becomes a unitary authority. Is that the case? Because this has been going on at a snail's pace for 3 years. Why all of a sudden the urgency to get it done now?
Well, forgive me. We've been working on this local plan for South Bucks since 2014. It's been going on for longer than 3 years. This is the next stage of the process. It's the right point in the process to go out to public consultation. The decisions taken last night were about taking the plan back to the public, letting the public...
but get it done before the unitary council come into effect.
Not at all. In actual fact, the development scheme, which outlines a timetable, illustrates that the inspector's interim findings will be presented to the unitary council in most likelihood, with adoption likely to occur, should the plan be adopted, in 2020-2021, well into the unitary council's realm. This is about ensuring that South Bucks and our local area are not susceptible to the speculative development that we've witnessed in the last decade that have led to the quite awful strain on our infrastructure that we all witness. And
John,
this plan actually is seeking to address...
Well, just stay there for a moment, John, because I want to go back to Jeff in Beaconsfield. What do you make of what you've just heard there, Jeff?
I think we've just heard a wonderful example of doublespeak. John talks about building, protecting the Greenbelt. In the same breath, he talks about building 5,200 houses on Greenbelt. I mean, that is an irreconcilable statement. And secondly, I think this plan, you asked why this plan is being rushed through. I think it's an awful lot more about looking after the needs of councillors who are jostling for position on the new unitary rather than on serving the needs of the local community.
Okay, so back to you, John, to respond to that, please.
But that's just nonsense. I mean, if this was about the what's-its for potential elections coming up, you know, there is a lot in some quarters of our community angst in connection with this local plan, which I completely understand.
Okay.
And I would say that actually the right thing to do is to go out to public consultation, give our community the chance to partake fully. I understand Jeff is part of a local society that's looking to test the plan, and I welcome that test for the plan, because the more the plan is tested, the better the plan will be for our local community. And this ultimately is about meeting the needs of our local community here in the south of Bucks.
Okay, we have to leave it there, John. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you to Jeff as well, who's with Justin Dealey in Beaconsfield. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. We'd love to get your thoughts. Pick up the phone, call us, text us, or tweet us. We'd love to hear from you.
Travel for beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Martin in Aylesbury wants to talk about our housing story we've done this morning about the green belt in South Buckinghamshire and Chiltern. Martin says Aylesbury's the same. Aylesbury's terrible, with endless houses being built on green belt, no new roads or infrastructure. Most of the houses built aren't even affordable either. And this text says, Andy, Councillor says it's going to be put out to public consultation, but do councils ever listen? Housing, hospitals, schools, they never do. That's from, well, no name on it text, but it just ends 022.
We love getting your opinions. 81333. Start your message with 3CR. This one's coming from Linda in Milton Keynes. The more I hear of JVS's opinions, the more I'm convinced that he's my soulmate. If it's wet and alcoholic, I'll drink it.
It's wise words.
Wise words.
He truly is a kind of not quite a scholar of our time. What is he?
Although people are